Hello! This is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful multiverse and from the beautiful metaverse as well. And in particular from beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition and soon to be homeland of Gaia Thrift. This is Midday with Reverend Don. Welcome! And as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your questions or comments into whatever platform you're watching on. They'll show up here in my chat room and we can talk directly. And today, my guest is Ed The Pagan. Hi, Ed.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking about Gaia Thrift.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to start, let's start by talking about your life change. We often talk about how my life has changed, but yours was in many ways far more dramatic. Can you talk about that?
Oh, sure. So the day before my birthday, February 10th, my 60th birthday, me and Don had already discussed about this idea how we're going to transition out of being priest and in charge of the whole tradition. And it was overwhelming. It was starting to get to it. And at 60, I decided I wanted a life change. Um, but what had happened was, I would lose my income. I would lose everything. Along the way, just to have to be able to open up to do more things. But what it is now, it means I'm not, I'm no longer acting as all those jobs I was doing. Oh my God, when I broke them down to keep the tradition going, the Karelian Nativist church going. And today it's in great hands of everybody else. I mean, 15 months later, I'm very proud of how it changed and everything else. But it did shift my life directly from being the priest, the kind of recruiter, the kind of marketer, to, oh wow, you got to do something else.
Yes. And we want to say hello to Mary Hawk in the chat room and Antonio Huerta in the chat room and Janet Winston in the chat room. It's good to see all of you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk now about thrift. You
Mm-hmm.
taught me about thrift years ago, decades ago, first taking me to the first thrift store I'd ever gone to. And it was an eye-opener as we really didn't have that in Danville um, in the same way that we did in Chicago. And it's one way it's a wonderful way to expand wardrobe. And can we talk a little bit about thrift and about Gaia Thrift in particular? What is it? What is thrift altogether?
Okay, so thrift is a term used for secondhand goods and often in the industry. And the idea is that we are a consumer society. Let's be honest, we love to consume. Nothing's changed. Amazon would not be one of the biggest companies in the world. Walmart would not be one of the biggest companies in the world. Our biggest companies in the world are consumer companies. We consume. And oftentimes, especially in the United States, we consume faster than we can use it. Think about it. We consume faster than we can actually use things. There are tons of things you wear once or twice and everything else. And so, thrift is the idea of taking those things that have tremendous value and moving them to other people. So that, to kind of the idea of moving it to other people through a method of cost. I mean, through stores, through, garage sales, through flea markets, through all of that. All of that idea of transferring value. That's thrift. And it's a huge industry. I just found out today it's $267 billion industry worldwide.
Yes,
And
indeed.
but the United States is probably, so Gaia Thrift is a little bit different. So Don mentioned, there's two things that I push in the world. One is coffee, as we just saw, and the other one is I've always been a very thrift person, and everywhere I've gone, most people know where. This is my latest piece. This was $40 new. I bought a thrift. You couldn't tell the difference between that and new. $2.70. I love the story. Thrift shop by forget his name, but that's a great store. But I've always pretty much did, and I got into it. Now, secondhand goods was something that happened in my family, and most families remember back in the 50s and the 60s, even the 70s, we would hand down clothes. Clothes were so valuable. We would hand them down from child to child. And I was very fortunate. I was the eldest child, so I often got new, where my brothers got hand me downs. But that's how we handled it. And so when I found thrift stores, it's like, ooh, this is very good. Not all thrift stores are that. So Gaia Thrift is the idea of moving value. I mean, there's a lot of value in these clothing, and Danville is a perfect place to start. because, like Don said, they don't have that type of thrift store. They're 1% of the population of Chicago. So Gaia Thrift is about transferring Chicago. We've got stuff from Nashville, from Mary Hawk. Thank you, Maggie Delato brought us some stuff from Chicago. Renee Barto brought us some stuff from Chicago already, and we're going to take donations primarily from Chicago because the waste and the amount of value is so high.
Yes, indeed. And we want to say hello to Christine and to Renee and to Kai and to Lolan and to Annika in the chat room. It's good to see all of you. And I know you recently completed climate reality leadership training and were accepted into the Climate Reality Leadership Corp. Was this part of your inspiration in this idea?
In a lot of ways. So that was with Al Gore's people. I'm pursuing it, and I had to pursue a project. Now, let's be honest. People have asked me what's happening with healthy worms. I thought that was what you're doing. I still am, and that's a longer term investment. Farming takes longer time, so let's be honest with it. And everybody agreed with that, and that's still 2-3 years away. Next spring we'll be selling worms, but that's more private. It's more difficult. Let's be honest in some ways because it's farming. And I'm still doing that, and part of this is there. But what I learned some things is that I love thrift, and I noticed that it is. But I was finding out that $1 billion worth of fashions go over to Africa just to end up in landfills. And I have a lot of connections there with Africa. I mean, the energy's there. Chris Copeland has a farm in Kenya where this is going. We have rain in South Africa and all our people. So to be used as a dumping ground for our fashion, people are that 25% of all landfills. 25% of all our landfills in America is full of clothing. And yet we have people who don't have enough clothing. We don't have enough people there. And also there's a lot of value in it. I love thrifting. So people don't realize in my life, I've done it a lot with thrifting, that is important. And then one of the other inspirations is very important. Let me go ahead and say it. Literally last year, we were pretty much finishing up probably one of the biggest sell-offs we had to do to move Don. And today, why don't we talk about that? Thrifting allowed Don selling everything he had. I mean, it was a brutal, brutal sale, but allowed him to do what? Stay medically debt-free.
Yep, absolutely. And relocate back here to the Midwest.
Absolutely, to get better health care. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you're good today. And that was done through thrift. People don't realize the original Witch School was built on thrift. Time and time again, Witch School is tapped. And when we started in Hoopston, we were thrift. Every time you see us get into real kind of trouble, I go out and we start flipping stuff. And we helped finance a lot of things over the years through thrift. So last year's thrift was a huge inspiration to saying, okay, we've done that. Now can we do it on a more permanent basis? And for the same reason, elder care, to make sure that we continue. Now that we've improved our situation, let's not sit on our laurels and wait for the next crisis to happen. Let's get a proactive. And Gaia Thrift is exactly that, proactive.
And by thrift, we mean resale, basically.
Resale, liquidations, yeah, all of that.
Yeah. So Renee in the chat room says, I have more things to donate. I've asked my family and friends to donate. Thank you, Renee. And Janet says, I don't do well until I've had coffee. We sympathize with this, and I love to go hunting for candle holders. Mm-hmm. And Rhonda, hello Rhonda in the chat room. Hello Elizabeth in the chat room. And Rhonda says, I love thrifting, giving a home to classic pieces. I'm eclectic, so thrifting is right up my alley. And people love thrifting. Mm-hmm. And why should we be doing this, and why now?
Okay, so I can talk about all the environmental impacts and everything else, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to take on another thing. So my next project is to eliminate some pagan poverty. Let's be honest. We've taken this almost as a mantra. And so what do we need to do? We need to have a business in our ethics, a business in our passions. I love thrift, but it's also got to be in my ethics. And to realize that this is a real opportunity now, because I think we're at peak consumables. I think people are throwing things away faster than they realize. I see it all the time. That we're at cheap consumables. And as the economy starts to shift and you hear all these warnings, I don't care about warnings because thrift stores do well in both good and bad. That we need to earn income. And I can do it through being another metaphysical store. Why would I want to compete? I mean, I can give you a lot of business and go into, but this one is actually useful, helpful, and it can expand. And it has a great deal of value. It's over $200 billion a year industry. All I have to do is move what? 1/100% into the pagan community, and we could see hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars there. And of course, it's going to be online. Of course, this is my online business. Let's, to be perfectly frank, we couldn't survive in Danville right now simply on our own sales. We'll do really, really well, but we need more than that. And so, yeah, and we'll be a private. And one of the things I look forward to is being private buyers for people. When I look for things, can you imagine getting an email saying, "Hey, we have these candle holders. Would you like to take a look at them first?"
Yes, indeed. We want to say hello to Melanie in the chat room, who says, I love this concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have gotten my kids addicted to thrifting. They find some of their favorite clothes, and my daughter fixes stuff that she finds. And Janet says, I used to go looking for teapots for my mom. They were one of her favorite things. And Annika says, this is true. Majority of the African countries are very poor. Loads of people in these places, like Nigeria and Swaziland and South Africa, are buying in bulk and reselling. Thrift is possible for all these individuals in order to start their own little businesses to feed their families. And Mary Hawk says, I already have a request in for a dress to wear to a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah,
you've
Harold Carter
spoken a
does.
lot. Oh, go ahead.
Harold Carter does too for overalls, white overalls for painting.
Yes. Well, you've spoken a lot about elder care.
Mm-hmm.
How is all of this connected?
So let's be honest. So I mentioned the inspiration one. I've always loved thrift. So we put that to the side. Last year we had a real health crisis on Don's side, but people didn't realize that I too was having a health crisis.
Hmm.
Mine's more invisible, hmm? And it's related to my diabetes. So I had a bit of it. And I'm now recovered too. But we always talk about parallel realities. Let's go off into to the land we are. And most people don't realize for my birthday, I lived in parallel realities. No matter what was happening, the events that occurred were going to happen anyway in a number of different realms because we had already made the decision to step back. I made the decision to step back,
Hmm.
to start handing these jobs over to that younger generation, to them. And then the health crisis hits. And I've been talking already about health crisis and the fact that we need to take over a town and that. And somewhere along the way in the last year, Spirits basically took everything and said, no, we need to make sure you're taken care of. And you need revenue and income. I mean, you need revenue. You need ways to fund it. So Gaia Thrift is a not for profit, going to be a 501c3 in its own right, and we're just basically working to serve the energy of it to bring in money, to bring in income, to be able to do so. And in here, by giving jobs out to people and be able to grow it, we can then fund not just Don's Elder Care and others. We can start building a facility to help us here in Danville, which has exceptionally good, surprisingly good healthcare.
Yes,
And
that's very
healthcare
true.
dealers. I mean, amazing, and it's more affordable. Now, Danville's the 10th most affordable city in America.
Can you talk a little bit about how Gaia Thrift will utilize the power of the internet?
Okay, let's be perfectly honest. It's going to be a reality show type marketing. I've been talking about live reality show marketing like this. I mean, we're going to do
Yeah.
shows. Don's Closet. So we're going to have work with shows. I'm also going to buy advertising. Once we start generating kids, I want to buy advertising from the various pagan sources, as well as other places. This is a mainstream business. This is not a pagan business. Now it'll have a pagan flavor. It'll have a lot of aspects to it. We will. If you have an estate of an older pagan and you want to liquidate it properly, we can do that. Our ability to communicate with the world will allow us to do so. It'll allow you to buy things from us. And if you see something in the morning show, and now we're going to have a daily show. Gaia Thrift Today. We can we can have a Zoom room open. And if you see something that you saw on the morning show and you want it, you just give us a call, give us a Zoom, give us an email, and we can ship it off to you. Same goes out there. And what it will also allow us to do is to, once we get this model down, I'm not planning just one. Hmm? So I've talked about, other places where Gaia Thrift, or even working with people to build more Gaia Thrift. And the internet will allow us to communicate in a way it isn't there. You may have thrift boots in Nashville. I've talked to Mary about this, but here in the Midwest, those will go for a lot more. Hmm?
Hmm.
And so we can exchange, and there's a lot we can do. The internet is everything, and we're going to have it's. This is an internet business that happens to have a wonderful ground ministry to work with it.
And Christine in the chat room says, a pagan flavor. I like that.
Hmm.
And can you talk a little bit more about how this will help the Danville community locally?
Okay, so one aspect is Danville, like Don mentioned, he didn't know about thrifting, so Don is going to be able to have teach. I expect that Don will be teaching young people and the people of Danville how to upgrade their clothing. And recently, I showed an article that how we dress is how we feel,
Hmm.
so we can help people with that. We can help if we start getting prom dresses. We don't have to sell them; we can actually rent them or lend them out. So it allows them to get a better clothing. Second, jobs. Danville's just got $250,000 in training, and I'm hoping to tap into it. Not the money so much as the employees. I can hire people as fast as you guys want to buy. I mean, e-commerce every day, eBay, Facebook, and everything else. It allows for a shipping center for us in a way that also help our other projects, like such as Curling Publishing. I mean, and other things. So we'll be able to do that. And our friends come passing through. Like Neil Goodman's going to come on the way to Starwood, which he'll bring his goods, and we'll have a trunk sale. So it'll give a diversity of goods, but also at the same time, I think the other thing is we'll help with food drives. We don't plan to start a food pantry, but we will collect it and pass it on to pantries in Danville.
Hmm.
We will help our people with that. Um, if we get feminine donations, we're going to look for diapers and feminine hygiene products and other sort of real necessities, and those will not be resold. Hmm? We'll
Hmm.
resell baby clothes, but we would not sell. If we collect diapers and all of these types of materials, these will be donated back to the community that so desperately needs them. This is about bringing in capital and cash into Danville, which have lost 500 jobs, plus lost 80 over Red Lobster in so many places, and honor the Corellian ancestors there in a lot of ways without being in their faces with it. I mean, no one has to know. No one cares. I mean, Gaia Thrift is green, but we're not doing this for pagans. The income we get for it is for pagans and elder care. We're doing this for the entire community.
Yes, indeed. So, how can our friends and listeners help with this?
Okay, first of all, donate to us. We'll be open by June 5th. You can start making arrangements with Jason High Corral and Don Lewis and others. If you want to make a donation directly at the shop, uh, after June 5th, we'll actually have the keys. We'll be open on June 11th. You can do that. If you want to mail us stuff, we can do that. We will talk about it. If you're in Chicago, we've got a small team coming together. That's where the majority of goods are going to come from. So we'll talk to me about that. So donations, donations, donations. Um, Mary Hawk through Corellian TV and other things. We're going to do another telethon. We're going to have an auction telethon of sorts. We've already talked about this. We're looking maybe 4th of July weekend or somewhere in there. And we need celebrity items. Stuff that is from you. I mean, Glamwitch, I'm talking to you, all of you guys. If you guys could donate a signed book, a piece of clothing, ideas, that would be great too. We could have this sort of auction that can allow these collectibles. Um, if you're local to Danville, hangers, racks, all that sort of material. But if you, as your guys, help donations, make a cash donation. If you really want to make a cash donation, help. We're not for profit. That would really help right now. I mean, if you want us to get more inventory and that sort of thing, that. If you're in Danville and you think you want to volunteer, this is a volunteer organization, so you can volunteer. But the number one thing is donations of material, cloth, and things. And starting on June 11th, I need you to do one more very, very, very important thing: buy the things that we're selling.
Yes.
Ultimately, that's what we want to do. Hmm? If you want to buy a gift certificate right now, I would be happy to double that gift certificate value for cash at the moment. We can do that. But whatever it is that you want to do, talk to us. We need a lot of help in a lot of different ways.
Mary in the chat room says, woot, telethons are awesome.
Yeah.
And Christine asks, will you at any time go into consignments?
Oh,
And
sure. We can go to consignments today. If you got it, we'll go into consignments today. Hmm?
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Christine says, I have jewelry to donate. That would
Hmm.
be very welcome.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, just DM me
yeah.
and yeah, we'd be happy to take care of that. And yes, for those elders, for those individuals that have been in Don's situation, other people's situations, definitely we will we will cost share, we will, consignment, we can arrange auctions from them. We're really very cyber. So, if you have something, we can go out there and everything else. Our network is our value. And right now, thrift is really important. And it's really pagan and it's really not. Mhm.
Well, it certainly is something that is helpful to the environment. Because when we talk about things like reduce, reuse, recycle, that's what this is all about.
Absolutely.
And
At some point,
I think it's interesting you mentioned that how you dress affects how you feel. And I've always felt that way. And of
mhm.
course, what that means is different for different people. I mean, I like to dress in a very classic sort of way. Other people like to dress in many different sorts of way. But being able to express yourself, I think, really is something that helps people feel better about themselves. And I have to say that in areas like this, it can be hard to get anything out of the ordinary, clothing wise, without ordering online at full price. We
Mhm.
don't have the kinds of thrift stores and resale stores that you would find in places like Chicago. And I think this is going to offer people locally in Danville and surrounding areas a resource that they really don't have right now and maybe don't even imagine.
So let me offer a model of why this is happening. Well, first of all, Danville's about 30,000 people. The whole county is like 65,000, I found out.
Hmm.
So there's not a lot of stuff out there. And the majority of people have a lot of kids. So they pass a lot of kids down to their clothes, down to their kids. There's a very, they're very thrifty in Danville area. And so
Hmm.
a lot of the clothes that do get donated are usually kind of worn out or very expensive because Goodwill keeps the prices high because they can. I mean,
Hmm.
I respect Goodwill,
Hmm.
but I want to replace them. Let me be perfectly honest. There's a lot of value in that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in it, and I think there's a lot of value to this idea to thrift overall.
Yes,
I think it's
indeed.
something we should be involved with. I mean, too many people. I love people love our in the community, the metaphysical halls and everything else, and we're replacing another metaphysical store.
Hmm.
And both of them, Willow. Let's talk about Willow and Moon. Moved out of the
Yeah.
space to go to Attica, and they're now having a larger store. And through my thrift, I actually helped them.
Yes.
They have books that I have. I'm going to be replacing some of those. She's going to do a clearance on some of the books, but we've been helping with that. And you've been reading with Jazz and offering our stuff through Jazz.
Yes.
The Earth Emporium, which is moving out to what? Crawford, Indiana, to a bigger store.
Yeah.
So,
Crawfordsville.
so we see that Danville can help build successful businesses.
Yes, indeed. Now, Elizabeth in the chat room asked if we could share a mailing address to send donations if one has books, jewelry, etc. And and she says, "Oh wow! So you have an established location with existing traffic?" Yes, 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 we do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing would be to email us. What email would you recommend?
We have Gaia Thrift Central at gmail.com.
And we can send you the address from there. Now, Annika asks, "Are the
And
items for sale on Amazon?"
what's
And
that?
Annika asks if the items are for sale on Amazon, and she is located in South Africa.
No, but we are building a way to get to do South Africa. So keep tuned. I mean, keep tuned to that. But no, not through Amazon. I mean, okay, so let me go ahead. Corellian Publishing, there's a lot of that Don does, and
Hmm.
you'll talk about that another time, does do through Amazon. Our books, our
Yes,
publishing. But our thrift, no, we can't.
yeah.
We can't
But
go
it
through.
will be online.
It will be online, and we actually working on DHL. We've been working on for Rain and I have been talking about because I want to get into belly dolls.
Oh
I want
yeah.
to get, and one of the things that Let me offer you one thing that American thrift does to other countries that we need to kind of encourage it is that it can do really well to get some clothing in it, especially jeans and useful clothing. But sometimes it also hurts the local clothing shop, the local producers of clothing. Our overwhelming manufactured machines and our British machines and our European machines putting out all of these fast fashions can sometimes drown the local.
Hmm.
So one of the things I'd love to in the future, one of my dreams is to bring materials from, say, South Africa. They have beautiful items and they
Oh,
do,
yes.
and get it here.
Hmm.
And not the
Absolutely.
news. Maybe the secondhand stuff. It doesn't have to be the new stuff. I mean, kind of be able to do back and forth. One thing I definitely want to do is, and you're asking about books. Yeah, we're going to sell a lot of books, and yeah, so we're going to do a lot of that. But yeah, no, we're not on Amazon. We will be on Gaia Thrift. I tried to transfer it over. There's something we're working on it, and yeah,
Now, that email address was GaiaThriftCentral@gmail. Yes.
yes.
Elizabeth was asking to double check in the chat room.
Hmm.
Can you talk about other online resources for Gaia Thrift?
Sure, I can. So Gaia Thrift isn't just a store. We can sell through all sorts of systems, eBay, Etsy, and all of that. But it's also going to be about cultural energy. Attention is everything. There's a great book out now, about called Day Trading Attention, which is an essential book. And one of the biggest things that has happened, I couldn't build witch school today the way that I did. Oh my God, no, it's a completely different world. But a lot of times I've had great first mover energy. What does that mean? I tend to move fast and first. So Gaia Thrift just won't be that. It'll be also online. You'll be able to see as we're bringing things in. This will be very close to the idea. Um, Instead of you can give us a call. We'll have clerks that'll be able to give you Zoom room. They can do a Zoom. We can have Zoom on. You can say, "Hey, I like that T-shirt behind you." Okay, great, and get it shipped. We will have e-commerce people, customer service, and people who will be selling. If you know how to do e-commerce, come talk to us June 5th and afterward. So we're going to have that sort of energy, but we also have the ability to. We could turn this into a shopping. We have a little thing. We could be showing you clothing shopping center. And so the other thing that it's going to be able to do is allow us to grow. As soon as this one's viable, this is proof of concept. If you want to buy a thrift in your neighborhood or in your area, the internet allows us to do so. Witch School went all over the world. Pagans Tonight Radio, when I was on for 10 years, went all over the world. Magic TV, now Corellian TV, has gone all over the world. So how big could this be? This is simply our community. You can build one of these in your own area. It doesn't have to be Gaia Thrift. It can be whatever your temple thrift. And we can all work together. And this is going to allow for massive education, training. Oh, it's not even the same game anymore.
And we want to say hello to Sir Mike in the chat room, who is joining us from Canada. Hello, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
With that, we've come toward the end of our half hour. So anything more that we would like to talk about?
People don't know the power of what they own. I'm guaranteeing if you give it to us, free or donation, or want to do it by consignment, or just do it by yourself, flipping, go to garage sales, whatever, you have thousands of dollars worth of goods most likely in your home. If you've lived in your home for the last 10 years, I guarantee you have thousands, possibly more. Some people have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting around that they don't know about and not using. I'm a stoic. If you're not using it, let somebody else use it. But you have a lot more value. If you're an elder who has an ancient library, don't give it away. Don't throw it out. Do something with it. We have a lot of value in our community. We need to tap into that and support not only our centers, but thrifting is a great way. A thrift store is one of those great ways. Help fund a temple that's not just candle sales and which we're flooded with. I love those
Yes.
things, but this gives you another chance. And
And
if
we
you're
also want to say hello to Nickery in the chat room, who's also joining us from Canada.
Oh, good. So that's it. I mean, there it is. Gaia Thrift Central at gmail.com is one of it. We'll have a regular Gaia Thrift name here shortly. Or Ed The Pagan at gmail.com. DM me. Gaia Thrift has a page on it. And so, yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, thank you, Ed. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I'll be back tomorrow with Chris Copeland talking about the newest things from Corellian Publishing, one of which is Reverend Don's Book of Numerology, which is now available for pre-sale. And if you're interested in that, you can find it at corellianpublishing.com. And and hello to George in the chat room, who wishes us the best of luck with the new venture. And if you want to find out more about Gaia Thrift, watch all of our platforms. We'll be talking much more about it. And let us close with our prayer, as we always do. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we ask you to help us to make the best use of our resources and to help to build a better and stronger world. Help us to always do that next right thing, and help us to use those things that are at our fingertips. Help us to reuse them and to get the most out of them. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love, and knowing you are always with us from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And may you be blessed now and always, and I'll see